Our friends in Japan have no shield when it comes to innovation. I'm here to show you what you have missed in this Zelda gaming world. These games were so exclusive that you had to wait for the goddesses to align all the planets, and in order for that to happen, you needed a bag full of cash, baby. Lose some rupees. Cue the intro. This game came out for the Satella view. The Satella view was a weird concept Japan had in order to get some quote-unquote DLC via cable. Imagine if you knew about this. You connected your Satella device under your Super Nintendo and hooked it up to your cable, making it possible to receive games via TV cable. It was kinda like a Netflix and a Game Pass, but not really. Play Cable was released and it was a flop. Cable companies complained about how expensive PCs were in order to handle the system. It was not looking like a good idea. And just like everything that's not looking like a good idea, Sega stepped in with the Sega channel for the Sega Genesis. This was the only way to play the first 3 Mega Man compilation. However, Europe and Japan did ended up having a physical release. But back to the Satella, it did have some great things, like a version of Excitebike with Mario characters never seen before. In order to play these amazing games, of course you needed the Satella, which was around 150 bucks. Then you also needed a satellite receiver, which was around 320 bucks. But that's not it. You also needed to pay the Satella monthly subscription and Nintendo's monthly subscription, as they did not came together. But wait folks, there's more. The cherry on the cake. It had ads on it. Isn't that swell? In order to get this DLC, you had to travel a Berthold city with no name, and you had to wait for a certain hour called the Super Famicom Hour to get these games under the special event. You could access this game for no more than 5 times before you were forced to re-download the game. But in these 5 times, you could play as long as you wanted in the hour that this lasted. But remember, you gotta watch the clock, because once the transmission was over, your game was over. Yes. Nintendo created sorta like the first homemade cyber cafe. One of the best games, and I use this term loosely, was a remake of the first Legend of Zelda. It was 16 bits, it had different graphics. Also, the dungeons were arranged completely different, because now they spelled Saint Giga. In a later transmission, they changed this so the dungeons would spell Nintendo. The worst part about this is that you got to choose between a boy and a girl, but you never ever got to play as Link. You got to play as an avatar the whole time. To me, that makes no sense. I would not enjoy playing a game that I know has the overall feel of a Zelda game without Link in it. It's just not Zelda then. They also make a DLC of A Link to the Past called the Ancient Stone Tablets. It has new story and new everything. Your avatar is called the Hero of Light. The story takes place when Link leaves, presumably to the events that follows Link's awakening. It's spelled with Zelda and Agena, the brother of the sage of the first game. They found our hero dropped on the floor. Agena tells us that since Link is no longer around, he and Zelda feel like our character have been blessed with light and tremendous courage. In this game, you get a golden bee that attacks enemies for you, which is a cool feature that the original games did not have, or at least I don't remember. Playing the game took around 4 weeks of sessions, so about a month. In order to keep the game from being completed early, each session blocked players from obtaining certain items. These items were necessary to complete the game, and these items were also saved for another session, so you did not get a specific item that will help you traverse to another temple or just end the game overall. Each session took around 45 to 50 minutes, if you were lucky, because the game took around 7 minutes to download the DLC. Out of the hour, you could not do this early. One of the cool features that this game had is that it had live voices, so you could hear someone telling you that you had some special feature that you did not have in the last play session. For instance, you could get infinite bumps for a short period of time, or a fairy raid, or something of some sort. However, this sometimes when you were talking to an NPC, making a very hard and confusing story already more confusing and hard. The music was different, as it was played with live instrument, so it was better quality. Cool, right? Well, not really. Since the music was universal, meaning everyone in the play session got to hear the same music, it did not sync very well with the game. For instance, you could be at the final boss and still be hearing Hyrule Field theme. Not very epic. Thank God this game wasn't canon. This was a game you needed to speedrun in order to kinda enjoy it, but I would not appreciate a game like this myself. Some of the parts really did require knowledge that casual players did not have. For instance, you had to do the wall run trick to get over this certain part, where in Link to the Past, this was completely avoided. It was a trick not many people knew, but it was still necessary in order to complete it here. In the 4th week, Zelda followed you around. This was in order to ensure that you were in the time limit. If you finished the game early, she would tell you that she needs more time to read the tablet. The final boss with Ganon wasn't that hard, it was pretty easy, so making the final boss not as fun as you expected. At the end of the game, you walk a little bit, find Zelda, she tells you that the view is beautiful, and thanks you. Then you return the Master Sword to its pedestal. Mind you, it doesn't matter if you lost the game, if you did not grab the Master Sword, if you did not fight Ganon, and if you didn't reach like a certain point. Like, it doesn't even matter what you do, you're always gonna get this ending. Satella was a fun experience for its era, but it did not fit a Zelda game. I would very much rather for them to keep making games like Excitebike or Mario Party things like than a game like Zelda. It just doesn't fit it. This game is pretty cool, and to me it could be implemented in the next Zelda game. Some of the features of this game were not that bad, as they were included in Majora's Mask, for instance, every NPC having their own itinerary and stuff like that. This was the first time we got to see Zelda using her power to see the future in her dreams. But that is it.